Welcome back, everybody. As you can see, we got a lot to talk about today, or I do. You probably don't have anything to talk about regarding this, but I do. I've been really busy. You're probably looking at about 16, 18 hours worth of work to do these two little things. Lots of masking, lots of painting, and I got some goodies in as well. And we'll talk about all of this stuff and what I've been up to since it hasn't been the kind of thing that would be very easy for me to record, doing these little tiny detail paintings and stuff. But I'll tell you how I went about doing everything that I've done, and we'll go from there, and we'll sort of catch you up on everything and tell you where we're going from here, I think. So let's start with our driver here. I decided to go ahead and work on him as much as possible. You can see, I think, from the previous video when I was starting to peel all the masking off, the liquid mask, that we've gone a lot farther than that now. So I painted the driver in this PS30 Tamiya, and I spray a little bit into a cup here and paint it with a very, very small round brush, a #1 brush. I actually have smaller brushes than this, and I probably should have used a smaller brush than this to do the face. But if you look at this compared to the face, that's a pretty big brush. Like I said, I do have smaller brushes, but what I don't have right at the moment is thinner for this particular kind of paint. And I couldn't thin the paint. So a little brush, even a smaller brush, wouldn't have helped me too much, because the paint's a little bit thick for this application of doing this detail type painting, especially on the driver's face, which I'll give you a better shot of in a minute. But it all worked out in the end. So we have a lot of colors that I've worked with here. From the beginning, you'll see these are the colors that, and really there's another one we're gonna have to get, which I think I do have something that'll be close, for the gold wheels, which are not quite gold, they're kind of a coppery brown. But back to the paints. These paints, the PS ones and the TS ones, are all the RC acrylics that work with the Lexan body, and they stick to the Lexan plastic very nicely. So out of all of these, I mean, the recommended colors are the matte black, the PS4 blue, PS1 white, which is what we painted the car body with, and everything else now I'm starting to introduce. The red and the yellow I've used to help make flesh tones, mixing with the white and the black, or the black, this black. I've got another black, but this is the black I used for all these pieces. And then I have Testor's paints, which are the kind of paints you use for styrene plastic. I'm really not sure what this guy is, what these plastics are that are 3D printed, but this is probably what I'm going to paint most of this driver with, and I am going to do this driver. Don't know if I'm going to mess with his helmet. I might just swap heads. I won't glue that head down with anything other than Elmer's. I still haven't decided what interior I'm going to use, but I am taking this one to a finish line, since this is kind of my interior, so it won't be as accurate, but it will, neither one of these are perfectly accurate, because this is not period correct. maybe the size of the cabin is, but all of the interior appointments and the driver's uniform and stuff, as I mentioned, way too modern. The seatbelts are too modern. The Hans device doesn't exist back then, and what have you. Looks like a modern carbon fiber seat, all the above. But anyway, so we've got gloss white, metallic chrome, 1290. This stuff, if you spray it and let it dry, it looks better than silver. It's a little more chromy looking, not bad. It's definitely much, much brighter. If you compare the caps, you really see that compared to a silver, it gives you a much shinier gloss. I used this chalkboard, and I'm using this. This is also a matte black. They don't, for some reason, have part numbers on these, but I use these as well to paint some of the black plastic on the dash, and I'll get into detail on that in a minute. So that's kind of my palette, if you will. And we'll go to my driver first, and I'll just kind of take you through the process. I'll pull Mr. Head off, and as you can see, I painted the face, and believe it or not, that took a long time. I of course, in the previous video, you saw that I liquid masked the face out, and I painted the blue. I started out with the PS4 blue, but it was so dark against the black that it really didn't show up. It wasn't like even worth the time to bother with it. So I went in and decided to use a lighter blue to accentuate the two shades. And later on, I'm going to put a clear visor on this, just from a piece of plastic that I got from some packaging of something that I purchased. And it was thin and clear, and very thin, and I could cut it to shape, and I'll be able to affix it. I'll show you that later on when I do it. I did not sand and putty the seam of the helmet. Probably should have. I didn't think it was going to show. My last helmet was identical to this, which I painted a Senna helmet. And the yellow paint seemed to hide the seam very nicely. I did paint this white. You can see the difference in white from where the visor is going to clip on. So I did paint that in white on the exterior here because it's a little bit brighter white. And when I'm finished painting this, and I'll still do a little more touch up on the black and stuff, it's still kind of, as you can see up close, it's still a little hinky-jinky. I'll probably touch that up. And actually, some of this stuff I can't even see until I stick a phone this close to it and see the defects. So I'll show you the sins, but I'll go back and do a little more work on that. But you can see getting the balaclava in, that little bit of white around the edges. It's barely there, but it's kind of there. And, you know, getting some sort of look on his face, especially when you put the visors on and stuff. From about here, it looks pretty okay. I try getting the right color for the eyes, just to make you see some eyes in there. You obviously don't want to go black, but you want it to be seen, so you sort of exaggerate it a little bit, especially when I put a visor on and stuff. It'll be that less evident, so I did make them a little darker than they probably need to be, well, certainly at this level. But when you put them in the car and stuff, it's going to look pretty good, I think. So that's the head. The head's got a lot, you know, I masked for the blue. I masked for the black outline. I masked for the face. And then I went in and touched all of that up. I hand painted the face. Then I ended up hand painting the blue because I changed the color, as I said. And just this little band around the bottom of black, which also could use a little refinement. And I'll do that later. You can't believe how many hours of this stuff it takes to get this stuff done. The driver, same thing. I've done many paintings on this driver figure to get it to this point. And that's all hand painted. Did some fake legs. I know the seat belts aren't correct and all of that, but I wanted to put something in there that I needed to, you know, where they have the body end really should be about here. It's too bad it isn't a little bit deeper, but then again, it might not fit in the car. I know there's reasons for that. So, you know, it should have had waistbands. The seatbelt waist should be up here, but that doesn't look right either. If you put the seatbelts way up in here at the crease and come in here, that looks a little odd too. So it's all odd, and it's all make-believe anyway. So this is just kind of my interpretation of how I did it. It looks kind of neat in the cockpit. A lot of this will probably be cut right about here when it's all said and done, because this is going into that radiator duct area. I think I've showed that to you before, but it comes to right about there on this side. So a lot of this is going to go bye-bye at some point, just not yet. And I think the other thing I've done is I've recut this piece, because thankfully I got this sheet plastic in, and it's thicker than this plastic, this plastic vacuum form piece. It's much thicker than that, but it's way thinner. If you look, it's way thinner than the let me get a piece of it here that I've cut. And you can see that's about half the thickness of this plastic, this 3D scan plastic. So, so that worked out nicely. So I went from, you know, this older piece that I made from the scraps, which I like. I like the hump. I didn't like all the ripply-dipplies in it. So I went back and I cut this out of a single piece. I tried to get the underside to curve somewhat to this shape that has some thickness to it. So, but the problem is it's just a little too thick to conform to that, and then the tape gives up and what have you. I'm kind of surprised that this is gaffer's tape, and it sticks to just about everything. But, you know, it's not sticking to these plastics nearly as well as it does to like a concrete floor when we're using it in a studio. But it does have kind of a nice look to it, and it does work with the driver like so. It's not going to be bad. I tried to put a thickness of a dash in it. Once again, the plastic is a bit too thick. I might try heating it later and see if I can get it to conform, or just skip it, because it's really not it's not going to be that visible once it's in the car, quite honestly. And I do have the fancy pants dash. So this is the homemade piece, obviously, and in the car it doesn't look half bad. You know, it's not a masterpiece, but it's an RC car. I'm doing the best I can with the tools I have and the skills I have. So I'm sure some of you can do a hell of a lot better, but you know, you got to have some fun. I'm having fun doing this, so I think I'm coming along better than the LaFerrari I did overall. So I think I'm making headway in my model building and painting and stuff. So I'll take it as it comes. So this is piece number one, and I did get a lot of decals, so I am going to go with the Derek Bell theme for the helmet. And he wears a Union Jack, and I ordered these Union Jacks on eBay, and you can too, obviously. None of this stuff is cheap, though. I mean, you know, like this is like $10. And it's a tiny little set of decals. I can't believe how tiny, I mean, they get tiny. And I got that. I got this, I got all three of these delivered at the same time, and I ordered them at 3 different times. So I was shocked that they all came, I think, on Saturday. Today is Monday. So the Rothman's Racing is actually about the right scale to stick on his uniform. That'll be tricky to get it to look like it's under the seat belts. I think I'm going to have to figure out some sort of way to pre-measure that. Maybe what I'll do is put a piece of painter's tape across his chest and cut the segments around the belt with an X-Acto knife, and then take the 3 pieces that would be left, that would be attached to the uniform, and transpose those to the Rothman's decal and cut one of these decals to fit that. These are water slide decals. You just stick these in warm water for about 30 seconds and they will slide off. I can't tell. I think this is one big decal, and I think I have to cut around the contours of everything because I don't see any or feel any edges to this decal. So I think that's one big sheet of decal, unfortunately. But at least I got them. I also have these Rothman's decals, and maybe they'll come in handy somewhere, and these stripes. And so this is a separate sheet. So these are 2 sheets. Oh, and we got some sticky on the back or something. But these are water slide, so I don't know how this is done. I'll tell you when I get it wet. So that's that. So let me tell you a little bit about painting processes here, because you got to have a bit of patience to do some of this stuff. It's a lot of color mixing. This is all to do just the little tiny face in the helmet. You can see I've mixed a lot of different shades of colors here. Primarily here we've got yellow, red, and a little bit of black that I used to darken the tone a little bit, just to get it a hair less bright than white. And then I would come over and take some of this raw, try to get the right warmth and depth to the color. And then I'd come back here and add some white to it and get it lighter and lighter and lighter. This took a lot of time, a lot of patience. So if you haven't painted before, don't be discouraged. One thing I will tell you though, these acrylics dry quickly, and not having thinner has been a real pain. I ordered some. I thought I had a bottle and I don't, so I just ordered some. So hopefully I'll get that in a couple of days, but which would come in handy for this guy. But for this guy, it's a done deal already, so it is what it is. And also some detail with the other colors. I had to go back in and touch up this, that, and the other thing. And so you spray a little bit into a cup and away you go. But that keeps you from using a whole heck of a lot of these. You know, you just give a couple little spritz into the can, and you can go back and work with it. I don't have a lot of bottled paints anymore, and they dry out, they're expensive, so I just don't keep that many myself. I just keep the spray cans, plus everything, that way I know everything matches anyway. So getting to this unit, I'm not finished with this yet, but I'm close. It's not glued, it's just taped. I just did a test fit. Let me tell you what I did here. I spray painted the whole unit with the chrome silver, this whole dashboard, and the steering wheel as well. Once it dried, I went in with the matte black. This is all the Chester's stuff, and I brush painted all of the surrounding area in black. This is spray painted, so that looks really nice. This doesn't look bad. It's going to look a lot better because I was able to find on eBay, I hope they're the right size, but I found gauge decals that I'm going to hopefully slide into all of the areas. And so this should have a look of having chrome bezels around the dash when it's done. These lights, these are all different lights and toggle switches, and they are in a variety of different colors: red, green, blue, and yellow. And I got some pictures off these two cars' interiors that will determine where I paint what on these things. So a lot of these chrome pieces, these little knobs and stuff, are going to actually be turned into those are actually warning lights of various kinds, and they're going to be turned into the appropriate color that they are. And that will be glued, and that affixes very accurately to this guy. And then we get into painting. And notice with the 3D printing process leaves this ridge, because, you know, this is built up in layers. Very small, thin layers of plastic at a time. If you're not familiar with 3D printing, it starts as a flat plane and builds its way up. So it leaves a texture, which is fine. You could sand all of this off. I think you probably should, or use a filler of some sort. You could use a putty if you really wanted to. I'm not enamored with this helmet, so it's not going to happen with this one. And I don't mind it on the uniform and stuff. It'll give the uniform some texture. I think it's going to end up looking like cloth in the end, so that's pretty cool, actually. So it could be a happy accident there. So, you know, here's, you know, a lot of pieces and parts, a lot of time spent, and I'll keep you posted as to what the next step is. The next step for me is going to be the dash, as I said, and Derek gets a red stripe around the bottom of his helmet, right around the mouthpiece, and then he gets, depending on what version of this helmet I do of his, I saw some where he has a blue and a red stripe that go all the way around the helmet. It has the word Bell on it, as in, I think it is actually Derek Bell. I got to see if I can find some small font decals to do with that. The other thing I'm going to do with this when I make the visor is there's a piece. Should have gotten this out before I shot the video, but there is this piece that Tamiya gives you. This is a sticker. So I could cut this out. I did this on the Senna model, and it gives you the little details for the visor hold down nuts, and you could put the little Tamiya sunscreen and get rid of most of this black so you can see the face. That's what I did with the Senna logo, Senna helmet. And I'll put that on the clear visor, and I'll use one of these as a sacrificial template to make the visor shape out of the clear plastic. When I'll do another video that maybe that one I can actually go through the process on camera and show you that. Sorry, I didn't show you much. I didn't show you any really painting and stuff because I just didn't want to paint on camera. It's just it's so back and forth. I can't tell you how many hours I have just in painting something that looks this simple, but I keep touching it up and changing this and not liking this fold and not liking that fold, and it's just a real back and forth thing. And especially with this acrylic paint, as I've said many times, this stuff is, when you mix it, even if it's fully dried as it is right now, if I go in with a color, it's going to completely dissolve into the color that's beneath it, which that will not happen with any of the testers paints. That when they're dry, and there's no influence by painting another color over top of it. That's why I didn't use testers paint in here. I used all the other paint because I kind of wanted it to mix a little bit, so I could even out tones and stuff inside his face. But for the white of the helmet, I use testers white because I don't have to worry about, if I paint stripes over this, I don't want the white to bleed through into the red or the blue that I put in. So that's how I'm going to do this one. I am kind of PO'd about the seams. I don't know how lazy and how ambitious am I to sand and putty all this stuff up. It's a lot of body work but I might, and I might not. This has been drying for about 24 hours, so it's finally not tacky. Testers paint takes a long time to dry. So you got to give this a good day between coats. Otherwise, your masks are going to leave all kinds of marks, and you'll put fingerprints in it and all that terrible stuff. So I hope this was a little bit helpful, and we'll see where we go from here. Got a long way to go, though. It's incredibly slow to get these processes done. We got, look, that's where we got to be, and that's where we are. So keep watching if you're interested. You can, hopefully, you'll get a little bit of something out of my videos that you can use in your processes. And like I said, I didn't realize when I was posting these, when I posted the earlier videos, I made them suitable for kids, because I want kids to watch stuff like this and learn there's something more to life than the screen on their cell phones. But then you couldn't leave comments, and I didn't realize that was the problem. And it was an accident that I figured that out. I'm pretty new to YouTube. So now I don't make these videos for kids. You can leave suggestions. You can leave comments if you'd like. And I hope you do. Thanks again for watching.